I'm Chris and this is the Hair Tutorial Channel, and on this channel I give you the hints and tips to help you in your hairdressing career. Whether it's cutting, colouring, hair up or just product information, this is the channel for you. So on this video I am going to show you a really simple freehand highlight technique. There are just a couple of points that you need to remember. It's quick, it's simple and it gives amazing results. So let's do it. Okay, so the main premise of doing this is going to be plaits. Nice and simple. I'm not the greatest at plaits, it takes me a little while to get going, so don't worry if you're all fingers and thumbs to begin with. So I'm going to pop a head sheet up on the screen in a minute to show you my section. But the simplest way to explain this is the more colour you want, the more plaits you will do, and the more strands you will pull out. That will make sense in just 1 minute. So I put a centre parting in, but you can do this to a side parting. And the only thing when you're doing this is just remember to keep it equal. So if you break it into 4 plaits on this side, make sure you have 4 plaits on this side. And the same goes as you start to do this. Just keep it relatively even. So let me show you one and then we can go from there. So I'm going to take my section. As you can see, I've already done the majority of it. And I'm going to start my plait. So make sure you break it into 3 even sections. And then I'm just going to put in a couple of turns before I get going. Now, before I put this one into the center, I'm going to take a small piece of hair out. And then I'm going to put it into the center. Now, before I put this one into the center, I'm going to take a small piece of hair out and then put that one into the center. Do you see where I'm going with this? So the outside, a small piece of hair into the center. And I'm simply going to keep working my way down the hair. Now this is where it's again important just to keep things equal. Not only do you want to make sure that you have the same number of plaits on each side of the head, but that you're keeping the number of strands that you're pulling out even, and that you're pulling out the same sort of thickness. Now you don't have to be massively neat, a little bit of variation within this because you are going to get shorter sections, longer sections, etc. Okay, so what you don't want is you don't want 10 plaits on this side and 20 plaits on the other. You don't want thick and chunky pieces pulled out on this side and fine and wispy pieces pulled out on that side. It's all about just keeping it even as you go. Reach a point where they become too thin or too short. So you're just going to then work your plait all the way down and secure it. Now how you secure it is entirely up to you. Okay, you could use on that a grip, you could put a band in the end, you could simply just put one of these, just anything to hold it. Bands are the most secure obviously, but they are also the hardest when it comes to the basin to take out. So as you can see, I've got my plait and I've got all my strands coming out, and that's exactly what I've done on every other section of the hair. So I'm going to put up the head sheet to show you on this block how many sections I've done and how I've positioned them. But like I said, you can see they're pretty even. You have sort of like highlighting, you have your own sort of way of doing something, your own routine into getting it, and that's what you'll work out. Okay, so just use that head sheet as a rough guide. The thicker the hair, the more sections you're going to be able to take, and also probably as well the thicker the pieces you leave out. The thinner the hair, the less sections you're going to be able to take out and the thinner you might want to leave them. Remember, this is where you can personalise. If you like thick, chunky, bold colour, you can take these pieces out and make them thick and chunky and bold. If you want a more subtle sun-kissed look, keep them finer, but maybe put more plaits throughout the head. So just 2 things to remember. Keep your sections even on both sides, even if you have a side parting, and make sure again if you're sort of pulling out 10 strands that you're pulling out roughly 10 on all of the sections. And the next thing is to decide how you're going to colour this. and there's a number of options depending on what colour you're going to use and what you want to achieve. Now the simplest way of doing this is to simply use lightener. You could use 2 different types of lightener, or you could just do all of the strands that have been left out and cover them with your lightener. Now if you're using a freehand lightener, you're not even going to have to place foil under this. If you haven't got a freehand lightener, then I would recommend just placing a sheet of foil underneath the strand just to protect it from touching the rest of the hair. Okay, so with the whole head plaited up and all the bits in out, what you end up with is sort of something like this. So you have your braid and you have your pieces left out. Now like I said, what you can do is you could put a piece of foil under this side and a piece of foil under this side and simply cover these with your chosen colour if you're just doing one colour. If you're doing multiple colours, you could do one side one colour, one side the other colour. Now the only thing that you have to bear in mind when you're colouring these is you don't want to put a straight line in. You want to make sure that you feather, you smudge and you blend, even to the point of going to sort of different heights on different ones. Now this is very easy if you're going to do freehand. You can simply lay it on your hand and do it. That's the advantage to doing the freehand. So I'm going to take my lightener and I'm going to place it on into the palm of my hand and just get some of that covered, and then I'm going to use my fingers just to rub it and to smudge that through the hair. So you can see it's very easy if you're doing a freehand technique to do this. And then of course the same on the other side. Doesn't matter too much. Okay, you can take out individual pieces and just work that lightener through the individual pieces, just to make sure they're thoroughly covered, and as well it's well smudged in and that there are no lines. So now it is just a case of simply working through all your sections and doing it exactly the same as you have been. Get the hair covered and wait for it to process. Okay, so this is what it looks like when it's all done. So obviously if you're using foils, you'd have multiple foils. I've done it freehand, and so I'm able to leave it to air. And now it's just keeping an eye on this. When I feel it's processed, I'm going to rinse this off, undo the plaits, and I'll show you the finished result. So what you can see up on the screen right now is actually a head of hair that we did in a salon on a course that I was doing. So you can see the results on somebody's natural hair. And here we are. So if you like this haircut as well, this was the last haircut that I did, so I'll put it at the end if you want to check this out. It's the butterfly cut, very popular at the moment. And as you can see, if I just move the head around, okay, we have a nice, soft, subtle highlight going through the hair. Now the more sections that you take, the more colour you're going to get, and of course the larger the sections you take, the chunkier they're going to be. So it gives a lovely soft effect, and if you're really good at plaiting, this is something that you can do very quickly. And I think it gives a beautiful introduction or soft highlight to the hair. If you like this video, check out the next one. Don't forget to like, subscribe and hit the notification button, and I'll see you next time.